What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and this is Does It Suck? The show where we take a deep dive look at a new game and see what's good or bad about it. So today we're going to be discussing Sea of Thieves on the PlayStation 5 because I have been playing it during this early closed beta access period. Now, this is essentially that if you buy the game right now, cash in hand, they're giving you early access to the entire game. This is the quests, it's the exploration, it is the entirety of the game except for the microtransactions and the guilds. You can go ahead and start leveling up and unlocking stuff, and I have to admit, it's interesting coming back to this game. I initially played Sea of Thieves all the way back at launch in March of 2018. So it's been pretty much 6 years since I decided to set sail. And coming back now on the PlayStation 5, this is a very big and dramatically different experience. This game is about to kick off Season 12 of its live service activities, and in this almost half decade since I last played it, it's interesting that they've added in raids, there's a fast travel system, boat customization, there's all sorts of different stuff that's incredibly cool, but I must admit, the part of this game that I definitely know I'm going to be playing the most is they've added in tons of new story missions called Tall Tales, including entire quest lines about Pirates of the Caribbean and even freaking Monkey Island. But you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about what Sea of Thieves is and how I was definitely wrong about it. When this initially came out, I didn't think it actually was going to have that much longevity because this isn't your typical live service experience. They don't really try and shove a bunch of battle passes and cosmetics down your throat. I mean, there is stuff to unlock and you can buy costumes if you want, but really the entire point of Sea of Thieves is just goofy fun with your friends. This is one of those games where you'll be cruising along on your boat and see a random shipwreck, jump into the ocean and find some buried treasure, take it back to camp and get a huge payday, get pilfered by enemy ships, or make people walk the plank. The true fun of Sea of Thieves and what makes it so incredibly addictive is that it is just a very classic video game sandbox. It's about making your own fun. It is about mindless exploration. It is just about going fishing and just trying to figure out how to cook food properly. But here's the best part of it that I must admit I'm already just so into. Holy heck, is this game completely gorgeous. Now, when this first came out back on Xbox, it definitely looked good back then too, but playing it on my original launch model Xbox One, it didn't seem to have the best frame rate. The visuals of this, the art style, I've always thought that Sea of Thieves was incredibly cool to look at, but now experiencing the Xbox Series X version of it on the PlayStation 5, this game runs at 60 frames a second with a 4K resolution, or if you have a 120 Hz TV, you can play this at 1080p over 100 FPS. And let me tell you, it looks absolutely glorious. There is one tiny downside. You're probably noticing it in some of this gameplay. There seems to be frame stuttering. It's very rare and definitely wasn't just constantly popping up, but just randomly while I was sailing or trying to hop around and just take on skeletons and stuff, I noticed there would be these micro freezes on the screen itself. Now, this is obviously a beta. The game is probably going to get a big day one patch. I mean, the actual launch here is in 2 weeks, but it's one of those things that I just want to note it because hopefully this does get repaired. I do not like very bad frame rates, especially now. Frame freezing looks especially bizarre, but I say this game, it definitely looks incredibly good because they're not aiming for hyper-realism. A lot of PlayStation 5 exclusives, just in general, they're trying to look as accurate as possible with, crazy detailed faces and cool glittering effects. I kind of appreciate the fact that the developers at Rare decided to go in a totally different direction. This game does not look anything like real life, in the typical sense. It's a game that has almost claymation style faces. It's got a very rigid animation style. Nobody looks fluid or, hyper cool. But to me, that's what works about it. It really looks almost cartoonish, but in a positive sense. It's cool to actually just put on outfits and walk the plank and do a silly jig with everybody else, especially because there is such a heavy social component to this game. You can play it by yourself. When you boot this up, you have to sync it with a Microsoft account, which was a little bit of a pain in the ass. During this beta period, it seems like the servers are kind of crumbling, which does concern me. Anytime there is an always online experience, of course, I don't like the idea that someday this game could be shut down, or additionally, it sucks if somebody spends, hundreds of dollars on microtransactions, and whenever the servers are off, you don't get access to your content. I am a bit concerned that the servers are already having so much trouble and the game is not out yet. In fact, if you try and play the Safer Seas version, which is like the non-PvP mode, it straight up does not work right now. Like straight, you could press the button, absolutely nothing happens. But as it currently exists, I must say I am very pleasantly surprised by this. Sailing around, especially after having not played it for 6 years, I don't know what a bunch of this stuff even means, but to me that is just so exciting. It's cool that there is just so many different symbols on the map that I've never seen before. Ocean battles, there's NPCs, there will be like ghost pirate boats. There's all sorts of random quests and treasure maps. Sea of Thieves is the kind of game that I feel like is meant to just be played here and there purely for fun. And you could tell the fact that Xbox is definitely testing the waters, excuse the pun, but as it currently exists, there's thought to be about 15 million Xbox Series X's, there's like 52 million PS5s out there, so it sounds like what they're trying to do is broaden their audience. It sounds like Xbox has realized they've kind of hit the ceiling. Everybody that's ever going to play Sea of Thieves has already played it on Game Pass, and that's why they're starting to push it out to the PlayStation 5. And this is another one of these Xbox exclusives that's coming to Sony, which feels incredibly good. That means we now have Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, Pentiment. It seems like a bunch of Xbox games are coming to the PlayStation, and personally, that's why I'm buying them. I'm a big believer in vote with your wallet, that if you want something to exist, you need to support it financially. So I'm buying the Xbox games that to me look good, that look high quality. And in this case, personally, I think this was completely worth the $40 I spent. I bought the game straight up. This is my cash, and I'm having a blast with it. Maybe I'll make a pirate guild. Would you guys be interested in that? Give this video a like and tell me what you think about Sea of Thieves. And also, to all the cool people I ran into, there was not a ton of PvP and stuff because honestly I'm playing this at 7 a.m. on a Friday, but a lot of the people I ran into were very nice and very cool. One guy did call me a tampon, but everybody else very, very cool. So thanks for watching this video. If you could, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to keep dreaming. All right, back to sailing the high seas. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.